Welcome to our YouTube channel. Today we're going to be looking at loom knitting. Knitting is usually associated with a pair of pins, but sometimes you have up to 4 or 5 or more, depending on the kind of knitting that you're doing. But for some people, the loom knitting makes life so much easier because what they need to do is just a rhythmic moving from one peg to the other for the desired design to form. Now, you have the round loom, it has pegs all around it, and then you have the long loom, which also has a double row of pegs. And in this case, you can actually either work a single sheet, or you can walk right round like you do with a loom, with a round loom, or sometimes you can actually have a totally different pattern that combines you're using both ends. Today we're going to be talking about using the round loom either to form the cylindrical shape or just to form a sheet of knitting. Now, looking at the long loom, you can see the sample we have here. We already have some work only on one side. It didn't go round. So if you want to make a scarf, a neck scarf or something, and you want it to be light, you can just use a segment of your loom. You do not have to use the whole loom for that purpose. And looking at the round loom, you see we have to cast on. And the way to do this is to start by securing your yarn, and then you form a loop coming from the back. While facing it, coming from the back, you come out through the right hand side and go back down on the left hand side to proceed to the next peg, where you come out again on the right hand side and you have a loop in front. Go down the left and then go on to the next row, go on to the next peg. You go on in this way again and again and again until you've gone right round. And when you've gone right round, you'll find yourself back where, when you continue, you will actually have 2 loops on the peg. That's fine, but now it's time for you to actually flip over the lower one over the top one right to the back. Now, if you examine the peg very closely, you will find out that the peg does have a groove in front. Now, using the hook that comes with it, or if you happen to lose it, or you happen not to have one, you can just use your crochet hook as well. But this makes life so much easier because you can take this bent hook and press it in, put it inside the put it inside the groove. It makes it easier to get to the lower line loop you formed earlier and flip it over the top. So you continue this way, coming in from the right, going back down on the left, going to the next right, going back down on the left, and continue flipping over the lower one until you've gone right round. Now, having gone right round, again, you find yourself doubling up on the loops. What you need to do again is to keep on flipping over, wrap it around, make the loop around it, take the lower one and flip it over. And that is how your project grows. You keep on flipping it that way, and you could come up, you can make a beanie for yourself, a bag, or what have you. If you're going round in a cylindrical way, in a circular way, even with a long loom, you can get something nice and flat if you do the same, but you can also have a single sheet. So if you look at this sample we've made already, you can see that we're just using a segment of the long loom. In using the segment, we can just make a piece of, whatever size we want. The only thing is we go left and we go back right and continue that way until we have the desired length. It's important that you don't lose your hook, but like I've mentioned, if you do lose it, please use something else instead, like maybe one of those thinner stainless steel crochet hooks. So this is how you continue until you have the desired length. And when you have the desired length, you have to finish off your work. We'll be showing you the simplest technique there is. You can take the piece of yarn of about 24 inches length, depending on how big your loom is. If your loom is very big and 24 inches won't go around it comfortably, please increase the length. Then you thread it. You know how to thread the needle, don't you? When you're using yarn, sometimes it can be a bit difficult, isn't it? So you can use the tapestry needles that are that big, or also called knitter's needles. They are blunt and they have a long eye. So we can show you this very simple technique of just using tape over the end of the yarn, and then you cut it at an angle with a sharp pair of scissors, and then the tip goes into the needle and the rest of the body can go in very easily. That's actually how you thread. However, you now need to walk around all the stitches. Our recommendation is that you take your needle and go down the grooved part in front, come up and then go back down the grooved parts of the next one. That way you are securing your yarn and going all the way around. And when you have gone all the way around and every single loop, don't leave out any. If you leave out any, you may run into problems with it. Every single loop has been taken care of and the yarn has gone through it, the last piece. Then you can actually flip over the last loop on your pegs. Please ensure that you've checked, because if you make a mistake, you can actually see your work unravel right before your eyes, and it will take some expertise to actually correct it. So be very careful. We haven't done this. When you now pull, you find out that it brings together all the area that you were working on. And if it's for a beanie, all you need to do is to stitch that end together and decorate it with a nice looking pom-pom. Using the loom, the round loom or the long loom, is very easy and is also good for children. Children can start from a very early age to actually start a project and see it through. Don't forget to praise their work and encourage them to work at specific times so that they don't suffer from boredom. Don't let them work on it all day and all night long. It's not healthy for them. So that's what we're going to be taking today, showing you how the long loom and the round loom work. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel. This is the Crafties channel, where we teach you about craft tips and DIY ideas. Every Wednesday, you can be sure to join us and we'll be able to put you through on something new. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and like and share to as many people as you know that would benefit from this. See you next week, Wednesday at 2 p.m.